You see, there's this prevalence of, cyberbullying, rights violation all over social media. And then the question will be, is it a reflection of the society, or could it be that it is that space, that the social media space avails people, the chance to just violate people's rights? Which of it are we experiencing right now?
Well, I think that subject is all-encompassing because both elements contribute greatly to it. Where unfortunately, we live in a society that celebrates mediocrity. We live in a society that no longer rewards speaking out positivity. There's a lot of toxicity that is promoted and instilled. And because the digital space is open to the public, people violate that and see it as an avenue to just be careless with remarks, And because there are no real consequences for speaking out carelessly on social media, people get away with it. But there are ripple effects, long-term ripple effects of those hurtful speech people take advantage of.
Yeah.
So we can't just blame it on the environment. We also blame it on social media itself. Social media promotes, it's a digital space, no doubt. It has its pros, it has its cons. But most times, people fashion their lives on what they see. I mean, the mind is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever it sees, whatever it's told, whatever it's informed. So when people are invested in social media and what social media promotes, it's only natural for people to want to be too invested that they don't even make a comparison with reality from social media. So there's always that war ongoing. Unfortunately, it has long-term dangerous effects on people. You see how it affects people's mental health. You see how it affects interpersonal relationships with others. You start to fashion your life based on what you've seen. And the reason why you are, a person lets what others say get to them because social media or the digital age we live in tells us that if you don't get validation from social media or people, then you're not doing the right thing. So there's a pressure. Unless you have emotional intelligence or you are able to decipher the difference between reality and what's on social media, then you can live your life the way you ought to.
All right, let's get into some. You're a legal practitioner.
Yes, I am.
But you've said something about people getting away with, maybe the hate speeches, maybe the bullying, the cyberbullying, maybe, violation of human rights on social spaces. Are you saying that there are no laws that are guiding those operations right now? There are no laws for which people can be held accountable for their actions on social media. Is that what you're saying? Or you're saying they are not working?
Okay. So it's not like there are no laws, but there are no direct laws that guide social media use. That's why sometimes you see content that are unfiltered, that is put on the digital space, that can be easily accessible to minors, old, young. No real consequences, no real laws guiding what is put out there. But however, there's a cyber crimes prohibition preventive enforcement act of 2015 that guides some of the rudiments of engagement on social media. And it's just a lot, There are actually, even though people are trying to leverage on their constitutionally guaranteed right to freedom of expression as stated in Section 39, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution, which guarantees one's right to expression. However, the Constitution does not justify defamation. It does not justify damage to one's reputation. It does not justify bullying in any form. That's not what the Constitution is saying. Even though you have the right to express, there are still laws or there are still rudiments of engagement. For example, in the law of thought, under the law of thought, defamation, even though the word cyberbullying is not enshrined there, it can be seen as defamation.
Okay.
Defamation is a form of cyberbullying. However, to establish that you are a victim of cyberbullying, 3 elements must be established. 1, the plaintiff has to establish that that information that was put out there is false. 2, the plaintiff has to establish that the information that has been put out there would cause potential damage to them.
Yeah.
And 3, it must be established that it was released to the third party. Who is the third party? Me and you. The minors, the young, anybody who has access to it. You put out a dangerous information out about somebody, and then the person sues you. The person, if the plaintiff can establish those 3 key elements, the person has a case. Do you understand? So even though there are certain stipulations on consequences for violation, especially for defamation, yeah, there's an option of 3 years, there's an option of paying fine of 7 million, but is it really worth it? It's not, compared to the damage
that has been done.
Because you cannot buy back a person's reputation. You ruin a person's reputation, reputation that has been built for years.
Over years.
And you think that you can just compensate with a fine or with being imprisoned
almost
or
like
something.
a slap on the wrist.
Exactly. So there needs to be real consequences real laws that guide the information being put out there, the access to social media.
Okay, so in your own, having researched on this topic and all that, in your, it's become that public domain for everybody. So how can individuals continually now protect themselves from, rights violations? And again, what roles can, legal practitioners play in this sense? Maybe educating the people more, and maybe how do you come in to defend people in those cases and all this? People need to be held accountable as we speak, but how do people themselves protect themselves from being violated, their rights being violated or infringed upon?
Okay, so I thank you very much for that question. I believe a level of sensitization should happen from schools, from institutions, from religious institutions. Instilled in the people, instilled in children, the consequences of using your voice for the wrong reasons. Don't think that because you have access to social media, it's an avenue to bully anybody or intimidate anyone or threaten anyone, or just, trying to make a person feel uneasy with himself. You're not God. You don't have any reason to do that. There needs to be more. I believe that there should be a program in the school's curriculum that encourages children to be positive, to be aware, yes, have the educational benefits of social media, have the information. Social media is not a bad thing. It's not completely a bad thing, but how do you misuse it? How do you use it? Do you misuse it? Is it positive? Is it constructive? Is it destructive? These are things. So there should be real sensitization happening in various institutions, even in the home. Even in the home. Because sometimes, if you look at these bullies, they are a reflection of the homes they come from. You didn't grow up with love. You now want to extend it to others. Why? Do you understand? So it's important that sensitization, like they say, charity begins at home. Start from home. Instill in your kids the need for them to not be out there causing harm to people, and give them the right attitude to be positive. Because, if you cannot give what you don't have.
All right. I think we're just going to hold it there. We'll take a short break, a 1-minute break. And when we come back, our next guest is going to be discussing the true role of the Dangote refinery in Nigeria's petroleum sector and what it holds for the Nigerian people. Stay with us on The Beam.